What's up everybody, this is Chris with PhoneArena, and today I'll be showing you one of the still very few Windows Phone 8 phablets. Those of you who've been paying attention to the platform are probably already guessing that I'm talking about a Nokia device. Well, they're right. Let me present to you the 6-inch Lumia 1320. Now this is a middle-range device with a budget price point of about $340. It sounds perfect for those of you who appreciate the form factor in Windows Phone 8 but are still on a budget. But before you rush right ahead to buy one of those, it's probably better for you to see how well it handles the real world, which is exactly what we're going to be doing right about now. One could say that the 1320 is a Lumia device through and through, and it would be hard to make a passable argument. We're treated to the usual polycarbonate shell with a matte finish, and though it's profoundly plastic, it actually passed our initial assessment of quality. Unfortunately, the removable back shell doesn't hug the device very tightly, and there is a hollow spot in the middle which sinks in under some pressure. The power, volume and the two-step shutter buttons are all rather flush with the surface of the right profile of the device, though they actually feel reliable and provide good feedback. Our only grief was with the shutter key, which is so responsive that we kept accidentally clicking it without intending to. On a slightly different note, the Lumia 1320 is a device of contrasts. So although the device's physical form is gargantuan, elements like the speaker, camera and speaker grille are all downright tiny. This gives the 1320 an overly modest look that feels out of touch with its proportions. Lastly, this is likely one of the very heaviest 6-inch phablets out there at 7.76 ounces. It's heavier than just about every other phablet, including even the 6.4-inch Sony Xperia Z Ultra. The Lumia 1320 sports a 6-inch IPS LCD panel, good for a resolution of 720 by 1280 or the relatively low 245 pixels per inch. This may sound a tad underwhelming, but the display is still adequately detailed. Moreover, colors are accurately produced if slightly lacking in saturation. Don't worry about outdoor visibility either, as the screen is bright and should do the job even under sunlight. Guarding the display against superficial scratches is the latest Gorilla Glass 3 from Corning, so while dropping the heavy phablet is still something we suggest you avoid at all costs, the glass should stay fairly neat as the time goes by. Lastly, while the Lumia 1320's display is marketed as super sensitive, it actually failed to register our touches through gloves or even thin fabric. The Lumia 1320 makes use of the latest Windows Phone 8 update, sometimes referred to as GDR3. Thanks to the larger form factor, you get to play with an extra column of tiles. You can fit as many as 6 of the smallest tiles on a single row, which leaves you with quite some space to arrange your home screen to your heart's content. But despite the changes that the last update brought to the table, the interface still is mostly unchanged, both in terms of looks and functionality. This means that we're yet to be graced with a dedicated notification center and just a whole list of little things that indicate the platform's relative immaturity. On the plus side, we're getting a kick out of glance screen, and we even had some fun with Nokia Beamer. Apps such as Here Maps and Here Drive with offline navigation are also on board and much to our taste. Under the massive hood of the Lumia 1320, we're treated to a dual-core Snapdragon 400 processor by Qualcomm. Complemented with 1GB of RAM, the 1320's UI runs pretty smoothly, but we still wish some apps had less of a wait time when starting up. Unfortunately, this particular configuration is showing its age, and even medium-heavy games like Minion Rush run with random spikes in the frame rate, though they're not at all unplayable. So, to put this plainly, if you're a heavy gamer, the Lumia 1320 may not be the best choice out there, but it's adequate and should prove capable enough in great many scenarios. As any Windows Phone 8 based device out there, the Lumia 1320 is pretty much stuck with the default Internet Explorer for all its surfing needs. Sure, diversity of choice has always been something we feel very strongly about, and yet the built-in browser actually provides an okay experience. A piece of code ensures that pages aren't rendered in their full, which eases a strain on the processor. Unfortunately, even then load times feel just a tad too long. On the bright side, swiping and zooming are both extremely responsive and pleasant to use, though little things like the lack of accelerable scroll felt surprisingly nasty to go without. At the connectivity front, the Lumia 1320 is packing quite some stuff. We're talking Bluetooth 4.0, Wi-Fi, NFC, assisted GPS with GLONASS support, and FM radio for an overall thorough package. Before we get to the quality of snaps, let's talk specs. The Lumia 1320 has a 5-megapixel rear camera unit with an f2.4 aperture and a small 1/4-inch sensor. An LED flash is available, and so is a two-step shutter key on the lower right profile of the phablet. Up at the front, we have a lowly 0.3 megapixel VGA snapper with an f2.8 aperture, good for nothing more than the occasional selfie and video call. As you can expect, a 5 megapixel camera is nothing to get excited about. It offers a decent amount of detail, but no more than expected. However, it is actually fairly good with its automatic exposure settings and color reproduction, as stills look very close to what we were seeing with our own eyes. The shooter is prone to misjudgments though, and some snaps came out with a severe yellow tint. Equally as tricky were low to medium light scenarios, in which the snapper often used its not so potent flash to brighten up the scenes. Also, the amount of digital noise can sometimes get out of hand. On a positive note, 1080p video capture was satisfying to say the least, and we were especially content with the blazing fast autofocus. Speaking of speed, this also applies to the time it takes the Lumia 1320 to snap a photo, commit it to its memory, and prepare for another. The Lumia 1320 is a pretty capable multimedia device, and not just thanks to that massive 6-inch glass. The Qualcomm chip inside manages to power through 1080p clips from a wide variety of encodings, and the tiny speaker at the back is more capable than its looks suggest. Its audio fidelity is nothing to write home about, but it's a nudge above average. As for the software, the built-in audio and video players are quite basic and don't offer much in the way of customization and fine-tuning. Under the perfect set of conditions, the Lumia 1320 managed our call quality tests very well. The speaker can be very loud but clear, and the other side will hear your actual natural voice. Unfortunately, the tiny earpiece is quite problematic, as more often than not it doesn't perfectly align with your ear hole. Simply put, this means that you often muffle the speaker with your ear and will not be enjoying its full potential. As goes with most phablets, the Lumia 1320 is equipped with a pretty big 3400 mAh cell. The battery proved to be quite the endurance champ in our time with the handset, easily lasting us through a day of heavy usage. The frugal chip and the low amount of pixels it has to push definitely help, of course, and we sure are impressed with the phablet's independence from its charger. In conclusion, this 6-inch phablet may not sport the most high-end of hardware, but it's sturdily crafted and has a polished look. It presents well, as the internals inside are capable enough to provide an adequate user experience without nasty hang times. Lastly, both battery and call quality leave little to desire. On the other hand, this is quite a burdensome device in terms of its weight, and the camera sure could use a little push. So how does the 1320 compare to its competition? Pretty well actually, thanks to its aggressive price point of about $340. Availability is still scarce, unfortunately, but next to other phablets in its price class, the 1320 manages to hold its ground. Moreover, if you're a Windows Phone convert and have taken a shine to Nokia products, there's basically nothing else out there for you if you're on a budget. Once again, this was Chris with PhoneArena. Check out our site at phonearena.com for lots and lots of more coverage.